Dr. Lior Rauchberger is selling something many people don't know exists or think they need. And some of those that are aware of his product think it's all a bit hocus pocus. He's got quite a marketing challenge ahead of him, and he could not be more excited. Before we immerse ourselves in episode 379 of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, the Marketing Gold is made possible thanks to Dragon's speech recognition software and 52ways.biz. Dragon's amazing. It converts whatever you say into text. You download the software, start talking, and your words appear on your screen, which means you can create documents, blog posts, emails, reports, and spreadsheets in a third the time because we speak 3 times faster than we write. You can get an exclusive 35% off right now, after the show's finished, at getdragon.com.au. And we're also made possible thanks to Dale Beaumont's 52 Ways live event, possibly the best 8 hours an Australian or Kiwi business owner could spend outside of their business. And we've all got to get outside of our business, right? 2018 dates have been announced and free tickets are available over at 52 Ways, that's 52ways.biz.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I am your host, Timbo Reid, but you, infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner. You're ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. It's exactly what we do around here. Been doing it for 8 years now. And if it's your first time round, love your work. Thanks for finding us. What took you so long? If you're back for, like your 100th, 200th, 300th time, I love your work. Love it. Hey, big show today. Dr. Lior Rauchberger, founder of futuristic company MyDNA, shares how he's building awareness and credibility in a brand new industry that requires both a B2C and a B2B focus. I'll show you how to create an insanely helpful email series, and we go back into the vault, revisiting a chat I had with high-performance expert Mark McKeon. Really enjoyed that one. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. Just a reminder that in next week's episode, Rand Fishkin, the world's leading, I think he is, and many others do too, SEO expert, steps us through how to search engine optimize a podcast episode's show notes. And I mean step by step. And don't worry, because you don't need to be a podcaster to benefit from Rand's advice. It does apply to any blog post or page on your website. Mind-blowingly good episode. Not the usual, tell us your business story and how you're using marketing episode. This is a step-by-step SEO masterclass for 2017 and beyond. It is ace. Love the word ace. Hey, coming up after today's interview, I'll share another low-cost marketing idea in that segment that I know you all love, called What Have You Got to Lose? But let's meet today's successful business owner. Although officially a medical doctor, Dr. Lior Rauchberger is equally passionate about technology and innovation. In fact, if the truth be known, he's a bit of a gadgets geek. He loves them. More on that in a minute. After practicing medicine for 9 years, he jumped ship and started Urban Intelligence, a business installing high tech into homes and offices, right? With that humming along beautifully, and it continues to hum along beautifully, he then sought out his next venture, which turned out to be a business that he calls MyDNA. a business that enables you to use your DNA to make the right health choices around things like diet and medication. Now, I was introduced to Lior by past guest Radek Sali from Swisse Multivitamins, one of my favourite interviews ever. So I knew Lior would be good. Truth is, Lior was exceptional. His passion for business, technology and marketing is addictive, and we cover plenty of ground, including why he left the relative safety of the medical profession, his love of the entrepreneur's life, how he chooses his business ventures, how he markets MyDNA, a service that most don't know exists, and for those that do, many think it's hocus pocus, and plenty more. I started off by asking Lior what gadget has had the biggest impact on his life.
Well, there aren't many gadgets I don't have at home. You name it, I buy it from Amazon or Google. I try them all. What do I like? I'm very big into work-life balance, particularly family-business balance. So I like getting gadgets where it can sort of help with my family and get them excited about bits and pieces. So one little toy I bought a few years ago, and the kids love it. I've got 3 youngish kids. It's actually a Wi-Fi light globe. So I've got this lamp in our kitchen living area, and it's a colour-changing lamp, and it's connected to the internet. So I took the old-fashioned lamp out, put the new one in. It's called LifeX. And what I do, you can, from the car, you can set all these rules when you're away from the home, right? So I've geo-fenced my house. So the lamp knows if I'm within 2 kilometres of my house on the way home every night, it starts flashing various colours, and the kids start dancing around, Daddy's coming home, Daddy's coming home. You know, it's not quite changed my life, but they love it. And I know as I'm in that geo-fencing, I get a little beep. And I know they're getting excited, and I just love that gadget.
I love that too. In fact, my son has got that. I didn't know it could do that. He's got one that has every hue of the rainbow. Is that the one?
It is.
You get it at the Apple Store, I think.
Yeah, and my kids give it, and they get it, and they play with my phone, and you can pick from 64,000 colours.
Right.
And, you know, they're learning at school about emotional intelligence, so they know if they're red in the day, that they're in low energy and energised. You know, there's all these colour things, and the colours tell them how they're feeling.
I love the fact that of all the gadgets that you have, which clearly you have a lot, you've chosen that one. Good on you.
Yes.
For work-life balance. I'm all over that.
Just, it's important, yeah.
What time do you get to work in the morning?
Look, I do an early gym session at 5:30 a.m. every morning.
Tough guy.
6 mornings a week. Just a group fitness thing. There's about 20 of us, which I love. So I start early. I go hard during the day. So I probably get home around 6:30. Yeah. But I'm really good at switching off.
Right.
I'm unbelievable at it. I can walk through that door, and no matter how stressful and how hard my day is, I can just flick a switch, and I can forget my whole day, and I'm just a different person.
Not easy to do. I went away with a mate on the weekend. He's checking his emails all the time. Yeah. Works for a publicly listed company. He's like, mate, it's not even your company. Get off it.
Yes, exactly.
Be with me.
You need to be able to, it's important.
Not easy in today's day and age, but important nonetheless. We're going to go all around the place here already. I know it, because we're here to talk about MyDNA and how you market a business that nobody really understands or thinks they need. We will get to that. But doctor by trade, 6 years of medicine. Want to talk about that too. But you had a segment on Triple M radio around technology. So I'm actually interested in how that came about.
Oh, that was so random. There was a guy at The Age or the Herald Sun, I don't even remember.
A newspaper.
One of the papers, and he had like a little tech column. And every week before they first launched the iPad in Australia, he was writing a piece every day leading up to it was a massive hysteria around Apple, the very first iPad.
Oh, wasn't
many years ago.
Yeah.
So he was struggling for content. So he rang me because I had this integration business, which you talked about earlier, called Urban Intelligence. And he said, how is iPads going to help change home technology and home automation? So I wrote a little bit of a spiel for him. He published it. And then Triple M's, the executive producer on the breakfast show, rang him.
Jay Mueller?
Jay rang him and said, can you come, rang this guy, and I don't even remember this journo's name, and said, can you come in and talk about the iPad? And he goes, I'm really not well, I'm on leave. But I just spoke to this funny chap, Lior, who he didn't know, we were complete strangers. Why don't you give Lior a call? And he can come into the studio and talk about it. So I got this random call from Jay, went into the studio, never ever sat in a radio studio ever.
Right.
And I was a bit nervous actually back then. It was my first foray. And he said, we were talking about the iPad, and it was Luke Darcy was there, and Eddie, and now Mick's joined the team, and we just hit it off. We had good chemistry.
And you nailed it.
I went in for every week for a few years. A little tech
What
segment.
a great story.
Yeah, and it was.
So interesting enough, because back then, and you still do, you have a business called Urban Intelligence,
Yeah.
which decks out offices and homes with technology, and that's pre being a doctor. I don't want to do a timeline thing, but it is interesting. You did medicine.
Yes.
You never practiced medicine.
I did. I practiced for 4 years.
Mate, how you were like 86
No,
or something?
I'm not. I just went. I graduated. I was 23 when I became a doctor. So I started. I finished quickly at 6 years. I didn't have any breaks.
Yeah, yeah.
And I jumped when I was an intern at the Alfred. So I worked at the Alfred Hospital for 4 years.
So you practiced medicine.
Yes.
Mum and Dad are proud.
Proud.
Oh, they're telling the rallies.
Good Jewish doctor.
Good Jewish doctor.
The old adage. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have done the accent there, and all of a sudden, at the age of 27,
Yes.
you've gone, you know what? Entrepreneurism for me.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Well, look, I was working night shifts as an intern at the Alfred, like long nights, and it can be quiet at times. And I was sort of reflecting. I'm not sure, it sort of happened slowly over that year that I didn't know much about anything except, a few
Welcome to my
subjects
world.
that I've been learning my whole life, and there wasn't such choice of subjects back in those days. I was a science, chemistry, physics, and I went into medicine, biology, and anatomy. And I thought, I don't know squat about anything else in life.
General practitioner, mate. That's what you do.
I didn't know anything about economics or business, and I just had this, this thirst for knowledge. I started reading every business book I could get my hands on. I enrolled into this Masters of Entrepreneurship at Swinburne University, just part-time after hours, and I thought, gee, I love this big, great world of business, and I met a few entrepreneurial people, and we taught ourselves how to do a bit of coding, and I I'm like a sponge, and I just realised there was this whole world open out there that wasn't just medicine and health, and I just loved it. And then a few opportunities came my way, and I sort of stood over the cliff for a while, because it's a big thing to jump off that medicine cliff. I've been like 9 years of doing medicine.
Well, a lot of ego attached to it too, I'd imagine, and all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, and look,
Time invested.
There is a lot of time invested, but I'm often asked, because I haven't done any clinical medicine really for 15 years, and people ask me, well, those 10 years of your life, wasn't that a waste? I get that a lot, and I think couldn't be further from the truth. What you learn in those 10 years about communicating with people, giving you a perspective on what's really important in life, those skills are invaluable, and I made lifelong friends, and I would do it all again.
Do it all again?
Absolutely. Loved
Goodness
it.
me.
Loved
Hey,
it.
listen, my right knee's a bit crook.
Oh, here we go. I'm so rusty.
Good
Tim.
luck with that.
Dangerous.
So that's a great story. So all of a sudden, you left medicine. Was Urban Intelligence your first play, or were you just like, I've got all these ideas?
No, well, I did a little software programming on Palm Pilots. You remember those Palm Pilots with the stylus? We started writing some software on those. They were the first sort of personal digital assistants. They were called PDAs back in the day.
They were.
And that was a little foray. And I did that with a doctor friend of mine that we were working nights at the Alfred together. We did it on the side. We had no idea about business. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were like, in a deers in a headlight. It was just, and so that was a bit of fun. And we had a few customers, and Hugo, my old intern friend, he was so entrepreneurial. He just kept twisting my arm. As soon as we had a hint of a customer, he was out of there. He goes, I'm going to run this medical software business. It was called MedSeed back then. This is sort of the
Make
late
$1 million.
90s.
It'll take off.
Yeah, no, we did no idea what we were doing. And then I actually enrolled in that Swinburne course, and actually we wrote a marketing plan on a company that a fictitious thing called IntelliHomes back then, and that evolved into Urban Intelligence. We actually wrote a marketing plan on home automation, home technology, and back then it was really early adopter stuff. Really early. And we thought,
what could you do? It was a remote control on your garage door, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and it was sort of always perceived for not really affordable, and it was just rich and famous sort of movie sort of stuff, Jetsons. And so we wrote a marketing plan, and a few people got together, and we actually started that business, Urban Intelligence, back in March of 2003.
I always get fascinated. Did you have a bit of dough to back yourself here, or did you have you had no
Zero.
family? You were free, right?
Yeah, because when you work as an intern in the hospitals, there's all glamorous. You're a doctor, but those young doctors, they work long hours and get paid
nothing.
like shit.
Yeah,
Nothing,
totally.
Right? So no, we had. I think there was three of us, and we cobbled together. It was less than $10,000. It might have been $5,000. We had a couple of grand each. We chucked that in, had a crack, working out of the garage. Yeah, literally trying to get customers, and piggybacked on some relationships, and yeah, it was interesting.
You have clearly a habit of identifying businesses and markets that people don't think they need or don't understand, because back then, urban intelligence, the idea of wiring people's homes up to be automated, although, I mean, I think we saw that on the Jetsons, right? It was like,
Yes.
you know, clearly you see something that others don't.
Yeah, well, it was. We were really early, and it was hard. We just, we were out there. We spoke to a lot of architects who were often the gatekeepers when people were doing new homes. So we started in residential land, and then we moved to commercial land. But that was quite a bit later. So we were only home automation in our first 5 years. It was tough. It was tough. Yeah.
So it's taken off. You've been able to kind of step back from the business and go, okay, what's the next big thing? I'm guessing this is the path.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Was MyDNA the next big thing, or is there a litter of ideas behind you?
No, that's the next big one that I've been working on. Absolutely. So what happened? It's really interesting, actually. I've got an old mate of mine who I used to play indoor cricket with. And he knew I loved, even though I hadn't worked as a doctor for some years, he knew I loved business, he loved technology, and his dad is a well-respected international professor of genetics. Now, I remember learning back in the medical school days a little bit about DNA, but it was very superficial. It really wasn't much about genetics and DNA at all. But he had this one-page business plan that his dad had written about what he wants to do with genetics and what's coming in the world, the new frontier, and it just resonated with me. I thought, that's unbelievable. And, he had no commercial experience, no business experience. He was just a brilliant scientist, so to speak, and clinical geneticist. He was doing a lot of genetic counselling for children with, rare genetic diseases back then. And I said to Alan, who's my indoor cricket mate, and I said, you've got to leave your plush job. And he was looking for a bit of money to back them. It's just some seed capital, quite a nominal amount. So I said...
How much?
He was looking for 50K.
Righto.
50K. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? But it's nothing crazy. And I said, if you quit your job because your dad can't run this thing, you become the general manager. I'll come and provide phone support. We have a monthly board meeting, because I was still working on urban matters. Yeah. That was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep.
And he did it. Good on him. He jumped. I invested, got involved, became a director. And I've not been active until only really the last 15 months.
What was the idea that he jumped and you grabbed hold of? What was it actually, besides this genius fellow's identified?
Well, they wanted to...
I don't even know what the terminology is.
No, look, he saw that, as a society we start to decode our DNA, it really is a blueprint that makes all of us unique. And he saw that in the future, as more and more of DNA is studied and researched around the world, there's going to be a need for a company or a service or a provider to analyse it and give people a report and sort of de-technicalise it and make it simple so people can understand what it means for their lives.
Right.
So it's really like we've really become an expert. We're really an interpretation engine, because we don't own the DNA. It's everyone's DNA. And even we don't actually do any genetic research. There are researchers around the world every day putting out research to say, this DNA does this DNA, but it's quite complicated. And all we're doing is deciphering it all for people and filtering it and giving them a simple report.
See, I love businesses that do this, where there is something complicated and someone has to put their hand up and say, I'm going to take the complication out of it, dumb it down, package it up so that it's buyable, and put it to market.
That's all we're doing.
That's all you're doing.
But it's very complicated. So we were a bit naive. We thought dumbing down.
It's like Apple. Just to draw it a parallel. Like I look at my MacBook and I go, the interface is so beautifully intuitive. Hello to all you PC users. But it's so beautifully intuitive. But I know behind on the motherboard or whatever's going on there, I don't know what's behind there, but it must be working at 1,000,000 miles an hour. All we see is this drag and drop functionality that allows us to do what we want to do. That's what you've done with MyDNA.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're having a crack at. Yeah.
Right.
And we're really, we were a bit ambitious or ignorant about how easy it would be to dumb things down, because it sounds simple, but our genetics and our genes are so complicated, and there's so many there's 3 billion letters that make up every cell in your body. 3 billion letters.
3 billion, every cell.
Every single cell has 3 billion letters. Yeah, it's quite extraordinary. Yeah, and we're, as society, it's just trying to decode it all and work it all out, and people are starting to learn. And again, it's a bit like urban. People don't know what their DNA means for them. They just think it's just something to catch murderers or maybe find out who my daddy is, but it's so much more, and it's only the tip of the iceberg. And it's so exciting, the conversations we're having with people, to saying DNA will tell you about what diet you should be on, what medications you should take, what gym you should go to, in the future, what sunscreen you should buy in the supermarket. It's just mind-boggling. It's going to explain everything.
Everything. And
Everything.
do you feel as a business owner that is at the head of this curve that maybe what the advice that you're offering now may actually not be right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like we must know so little
Yes.
about this whole DNA industry, if I can call it that,
Yeah.
that you're just having a crack in the early days. And
We are. And part of the journey with people, it's not just a one-off interaction with people. It's going to be a lifelong journey. We want to be the trusted provider to say, we'll hold your DNA with your blessing and we'll update you as more information comes to light, because it's such a fluid area. So we probably, as you know, all of humankind probably only understands probably of the 25,000 genes that we've all got, the same genes that were just expressed differently, we probably understand what 300 of them mean.
wow.
So when I say tip of the iceberg, I mean really the tip of the iceberg.
The upside of your business is rather large if you get it right.
Hopefully.
So, Lior, you've taken this crazily complicated concept and packaged it up. Explain to us what is the business? What am I? If I go to mydna.life,
Yes, it is, yes.
I have to talk about that later. It's the first .life I've had on the show.
I know, we couldn't get the .com.
You funky doctors, you. What are you offering me? What do I go and buy from you right now?
So we've got only 2 products at the moment, but I think when we're talking this time next year, we might have 20. I know we'll have 20. That's because how fluid it is. We started with a medication report, a genetic personalised medication report. So the problem, and I know medications because I used to be a doctor and I can still write prescriptions, believe it or not. And I should have mentioned that to you.
No, that's right.
But there's a lot of trial and error that goes on with medications. In fact, most of our lives, many decisions in our lives are based on trial and error. When you go and see your doctor and he prescribes a particular drug for you, let's pick a common condition like depression, which is very common. There's about 7 antidepressants that your doctor could give you. Why he or she picks A or B and why he or she starts you on 10 milligrams, that's just his starting point. It's guesswork. It's trial and error.
Just throwing a coin in the air?
I'll put you on 10 milligrams. Tim, come and see me in a couple of weeks. If you have, and what happens? Really,
by that time you've put on 10 kilograms.
Or you're nauseous, you're having side effects,
right.
or you're not getting better, or you're still depressed, and then
Right.
go, I'll try another drug, I'll try another dose. Trial and error.
So you shortcut all that.
Exactly. So not for every medication, but our genes tell us how we all uniquely process many medications. And if I have your DNA results,
Righto.
just a couple of those genes before the prescription's given, I can tell your doctor, don't guess what the best drug and what dose to start Tim on. I'll tell you based on his unique body makeup what the right drug and dose
Wow.
is for him. It's really optimizing. It's the ultimate in personalization. So that's around medications. And what we just launched last month, which has created a whole lot of really exciting media, is a personalized diet report.
What I
Similar.
should eat.
Exactly.
In order to do what? I can say, my goal is this, so therefore, based on your DNA...
You should go on this diet versus that diet. Everyone tries diets, this diet, then that. Again, it's like medications, trial and error. I'll try low carbs, then I'll try high protein, then I'll try the Atkins diet. It's just guesswork. And people get very despondent. So now if I, again, look at a couple of your DNA, based on all the research around the world, I will say, Tim, if you want to try and lose 5 kilos, and who doesn't want to try and lose 5 kilos, if you want to maximise your chances of success, this is the right diet for you, your body and how your body processes food.
So you've got a medicine report, you've got a diet report.
Yes.
How accurate have they proved to be? Have you tested,
Oh yeah, no, we've got thousands. I mean, we've done 20,000. The medication
Wow.
report. We've got it's beyond question because it's not our research. As I said, all we're doing is taking all the research around the world and collating it and saying this is the best diet for you based on all this research because these are your genes. It's unbelievable. Now there are other elements at play. I'm not saying it's only about genes, but it's a very important part in the puzzle.
Are you reporting on the best diet, or am I going to my GP or my naturopath or my new dietitian and saying, oh, here's my DNA report, got it from MyDNA, you tell me what's my best diet, or are you actually also offering the advice?
We're doing both. I mean, we think it's important to engage in the healthcare professionals. It's really important. So
Yep.
the report has a section that is really simple for the consumer, direct, and also has a section for the healthcare professional so that you can take to your dietitian, and it's unbelievable. I mean, I can't tell you, look, the other thing I reflect on with MyDNA, which I haven't had in any of my businesses, and I'm talking about the medication offering, is that there are not many businesses where you can have such a profound impact on someone's life, like absolutely profound. And we are getting testimonials unsolicited, coming in every week saying, I've been struggling with depression, go back to that example, for 7 months. I've seen 4 doctors, 2 psychiatrists. I've tried 9 different antidepressants. They're going up and down, and I've been so depressed I can't even look after my kids. I got your report. It told me what's the best medication, and it's turned my life around. And that is unbelievable. I've never experienced
What more does a
that.
business owner want from that?
I know. I mean, and again, to keep my staff motivated.
You can't do anything with those testimonials, can you? You can't put them on your website. I mean, you're in the medical.
Yeah, no, you've got to be careful, especially the medical ones. But there are ways you can do it, but not really.
Okay.
But you can tell stories. There is some storytelling that can be done if you get, the customer's consent. But in some areas it's tricky with medical things. It'll be easy with diet and that. But it's so rewarding to have a business that does that kind of stuff for people.
I was going to ask you, Lior, what you love about it. You've already told us now. Can you think of the moment when, in deciding that MyDNA was your next big thing, where you've gone, I think we're onto something here. This is it.
Yeah. Well, look, it is that. It's hearing those stories from people that are struggling. And we're sort of having that moment for them. Yeah. And it becomes an aha moment, because it's kind of like the doctors, and many doctors that are my age or certainly older, they've never learned any of this stuff. This is our sort of education battle that we need to be doing. There's so much education to do out there, not only amongst consumers, but amongst healthcare professionals as well. Because I didn't learn anything about it. I only finished medicine in the late 90s. So they have aha moments. When they see one of their patients that's struggling, and then they get this report and they go, oh my God, their genes explain why they've been struggling and why I haven't been able to get them on. It's an aha moment, and it's just a great revelation.
All online at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. Although you can buy the pack,
pharmacy.
You can buy the kit through the pharmacy.
Yes, 500 pharmacists are participating.
So let's talk marketing. And by the way, listeners, talking to Dr. Lior Rauchberger.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yes.
MyDNA.life is the business, a business that I think many don't understand and don't think they need, but clearly this chat's revealing that's not the case. Let's talk about marketing, because, it must be tough. And you've got to get consumers, the me's of the world, to buy it. You've got to get pharmacists to stock it. And you've got to get health professionals, chiropractors, GPs, dietitians, psychiatrists, the lot, to buy into it.
To endorse it.
To endorse it. And is that about them saying to the patient in front of them, go and get your DNA tested? Mainly, it's not the patient coming with the DNA.
Well, we're seeing it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think in the good old days, it was all about the doctor just telling people this is what you have, and yes, doctor.
Go to Google, Dr.
Exactly.
Dr. Google.
Now, times are changing. The last decade, people have access to the internet with so much information, and not just for this. People, patients are going into their doctors with 10 printouts, and saying, "Hey, doctor, what do you think about this? Why haven't you know about this? Do you know about this?" Yeah, so it's really upping the ante for especially
Doctors
GPs.
hate that.
They hate it. They hate it. But that's the world we live in today.
Correct.
So we're investing heavily in educating healthcare professionals.
So let's talk about that, because there are business owners listening every business has a vast group of prospects who could buy from them, with different needs, with different challenges, coming at the product or service from a different angle, right? And you have 3 very distinct ones. So maybe if we could work through how you're approaching each of those. Why don't we start with the consumer? Mum, ma and pa, out on the street, how do you get them to go, I'm going to go and get my DNA tested?
Yeah, so we're just turning on those campaigns now, and we've been speaking. I've got some internal talent, and we're speaking to some external agencies as well, because there's so many different ways, and there's been a lot of conflict even in that.
Yeah.
And we've only got limited resources as well, so it's not like, and it's such a big conversation to be having with people. The consensus position has been, because we've been talking about maybe TV, maybe media, PR, maybe radio. But what's looking quite interesting, and we're seeing some really good traction, is using digital marketing and online social media, and working with influencers. There are people on those forums, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or
podcasts,
or blogging,
vloggers, YouTubers,
in the health and wellness space, because that's the area. I mean, park the medication aside, but in the diet and the exercise and nutrition, that's all about health and wellness. People are very interested in that. So we are speaking with those sorts of influencers, getting them exposed to our product, letting them go through the journey with us, and we feel that that's showing some really good results.
You've started approaching social influencers?
Yeah, we have only in the last month.
Are you using an agency, or are you actually just identifying the top 10 and reaching out to them?
We're doing some direct approaches and we're using an agency.
I had Jules Lund on this show about a year ago. He's got Tribe, right, which is a local social influencer agency. They're popping up everywhere, but it is absolutely 2017's marketing trend of the year, social influencer marketing. And I love it, I'm starting to see, in the last 6 months, I've had 5 big brands reach out to me to say, hey, listen, would you talk about this or would you get involved? So clearly it's starting to take traction. And I love it. From your point of view, it's sort of a roll up the sleeves kind of strategy, because you talked about TV and radio. That's the lazy option, not necessarily wrong, but you place a schedule, the ads run, you sit back and hopefully you get some sales, right? Yeah. The social influencer strategy is identifying those top 10 health and fitness YouTubers or the top 10 podcasters and saying, hey, listen, this is what we've got. What would you like? And here's what we'd like, and developing those partnerships.
Exactly. The other thing that I like about the digital that allows us that maybe some of the other mediums it doesn't, and without sort of breaking your budget in one foul swoop, is that you can do some testing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't really know, even in our diet conversation, how do I dumb it down? What's the message? Do we talk about the fat gene? Do we talk about your DNA's helping you get the right diet? So we've actually created about 10 or 15 different creatives with different words and different images. And we're actually trying some Facebook ads and some Google AdWord campaigns. So paid, but quite, just dabbling our feet in the water here and there to see what resonates most. And with the digital, we can track it. We've got all the tracking on board, so I know that, from that one got 1,000 impressions and converted to 50 sales, yeah? So I'm a real numbers person.
You'd love that, wouldn't you? I can see already.
I'm deep in Google Analytics.
Yeah. Lior's on the spreadsheets, guys. Just leave him for a moment.
Yes. I love pivot tables.
Yeah, well, so interesting. We could talk about that forever. As a consumer, as someone who would buy a MyDNA pack, hearing the words DNA, hearing all that tech talk is probably
no good. No good.
You just need to focus on the end benefit.
Yep. The problem and the solution. Have you been at a gym for the last 9 months and struggled to lose weight? Yeah. I mean, those sort of messages are the ones that seem to be resonating.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a challenge. It's interesting. It's really interesting how we're going.
It's exciting.
That.
I can see that. Often I say TV, radio, and here we are sitting in a radio station at the moment. But there can be a huge waste of money. But I can see also for you where you've really got you've got a brand awareness challenge. You've got an educational challenge that could potentially work. Okay, so consumers, you're working on it. Big challenge. Then you've got let's go pharmacies. So they're a main distribution point.
At the moment they are.
What am I going to do? Walk into a chemist and see a MyDNA stand?
Yes. A poster out the front, a stand there. And
I'm not going into the chemist to get. Well, this is the challenge, right? I'm not going in there to go. I think I'll just stop by a chemist warehouse and get a MyDNA kit.
Correct.
Not going to happen.
No, it won't. But that's why we can't do any of these campaigns in isolation. They're so complementary to each other. And
what's the kit look like?
Oh, I should have bought one in for you. I left one in the car, but it's like a mini VCR. It's a tiny little kit. It's a mouth swab.
Right.
It's a tiny little, you twirl around the inside of your cheek, 20 seconds, send it off.
Send it off.
Reply paid envelope, goes to our lab. The diet one's $99. The diet report.
Medication?
Also $99.
Perfect.
Everything's $99.
How do you I love pricing. Pricing does
how
did you get there?
Well, we're doing some testing again, we've tried, we had a much more detailed medication report where it looked at 300 different medications, and we had that priced at $199. And we thought, well, people don't need all that information. People are very, narrow in what they want. If they want information on just their mental health medications, well, they don't need the others. So we've created sort of mini versions of the kit at a sub $100 price point, and we feel that's what's getting the most traction.
Well, you need take up too. You need volume.
Now, the whole model predicated on volumes, getting on our portal. So it's we've tried $199, $149.99, and we're thinking of having a dabble at $49.
Right.
For a different type of offering.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously we can. Some people might want the hamburger with a lot. Some people might want the junior burger. It's about it.
Others want a Huckster burger, which is my go-to burger. I love that. Past guest of the show.
So it's interesting.
Okay, so
on the consumer thing, just to go back for 1 second, the other thing we've realised is that I don't have the budget to get that campaign out broadly. So what we are doing is we're looking at corporate alliances, strategic partnerships with organisations that have large membership bases already, that their membership base is interested in health and wellness. So there's some big, for instance, corporate gymnasiums.
Yeah.
There's big insurance companies that already have a lot of corporate members that are interested in wellness. And I haven't done all these deals yet, but I've strategically identified a few. And this is new and novel for them. So it's a real win-win relationship. And that's how I'm going to get the word out. I'm going to leverage their database.
Partnerships.
It's all about that. I can't do it myself. It's too hard.
Past guest recently, Dale Beaumont, where he went through this 7-step process of setting up highly profitable strategic partnerships, and such an effective way of doing things, because these are people that have the eyes and ears of your target audience, and likewise, and you can both give each other something you need, and you get that massive leverage. So that seems to be a no-brainer, and therefore then you go back to your consumer advertising, and I wonder whether you become incredibly strategic and make sure that the ads you run or the outdoor posters you run are actually hitting the people, the marketing managers of the insurance companies, and you get it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember I used to work years ago at an advertising agency, and one of my clients was Yellow Pages, and one of the bosses at Yellow Pages questioned the power of outdoors. So we strategically put posters near his home and near the entrance of where he parked his car during the day. So he's going, geez, I'm seeing these posters all the time.
You must be bigger than you are. I love that. So that's good guerrilla marketing, isn't
totally.
it? I love
Sometimes mass advertising, you're just trying to target 3 people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so love that. So how do you get chemists on board?
So it's an interesting battle, the chemist landscape in the country at the moment, because what they like about the medication offering is there's a bit of a consultation there as well. So when you get your medication report, it's actually required. You have to go back to a healthcare professional like a pharmacist who will talk to you about what the report means and what's the best medication and whether the doctor should or shouldn't change your prescription. So they're really wanting to offer more services and not just be box movers. So professional services in pharmacy, they're a trusted part of the community. So they are interested in these new services, very interested in it.
Okay.
We've built an online accreditation and training system. So to be able to offer the service, you need to jump online. It only takes an hour or so and go through the trainings. We want people to having, obviously, educated discussions with their customers about this area of genetics. So we've had 500 now join. 500 are now stocking it.
Surely not individually. You've gone to a couple of major franchises.
Yeah, we've gone for we have. We've got Kmart and around the country, that is. Yeah. So groups, some of them have 10 or 20, some have 50. And we're going for the really big corporates now who are interested in it too. So we don't see this is going to be long in every community pharmacy in Australia, but there are some that are interested in the services. And again, if our interests are aligned, which they are, we've got a good professional service. They're interested in delivering a professional service. And what's been really interesting with pharmacy that they've commented on, sort of the early 200 that we got on board, is that obviously they make a small margin, but it's not even about that. They like that they're having that next level of relationship with their customers, that they can be putting an intervention in that's changing their lives, and then it creates that loyalty and that stronger relationship between their customers and the local pharmacy, and that's really important to them. More important to them than just a single transaction.
What's really interesting about this, Lior, is that you're a business owner who is very much at the start of their marketing journey. How do you feel about the whole marketing thing? Do you love it? Does it create massive anxiety?
It's a bit, I am a bit anxious about it because I'm not a specialty in that area. Like I don't have much marketing.
If you're a spreadsheets guy, you're not a marketing guy, right?
I'm not, and I'm not that creative. That part of my brain's not as strong as the other half.
So what do you do about that? You got someone who? What about the bloke who jumped ship and came and joined you?
Yes.
Is he the guy, or have you got?
Yeah, well, no, he's more an operational guy. So we've employed people now. We've got quite a big team now, MyDNA. We're approaching 40 staff.
Wow.
40 full-time staff. We're having a really big crack. So 6 or 7 of them have sales and marketing backgrounds, and we're using some external consultants, and we've got some people on a board who have strong marketing background. But why I find it a bit stressful is, given I just don't know it innately, it's not native to me. So, I'm hearing things from some of my own employees and some trusted consultants and some trusted board members and some external agencies.
Wow.
And they're all a bit they're not all, but
different.
Sometimes they're conflicting. Some says, look, if you've got that budget, you should go for long form radio, and some say no, try and just do it all through PR, and and I'm trying to navigate, what is the right path, and I know, look, I'm all for having a crack, and I don't expect to nail everything the first time. And in this business where we are trailblazing, we're just going to have to be agile and pivot quite often until we find the right recipe of success. But some of these bigger marketing spend budgets, I get nervous because I know I can't make the mistake too often.
No doubt. What about just standing back from all that and saying, don't come to me, leave that to... I mean, you've got Radek Sali on your board, right? Ex-Swisse, ex-guest of this show.
Yes.
I think he'd know a thing or two about creativity.
He does.
This is what we're talking about. I mean, the two parts of marketing, you've got message and medium. Medium, whether it be a podcast or a TV ad or a billboard or a point of sale, it's like, you got that. It's then like, what are you going to say within that medium is... He'd be pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah,
you could do worse.
No, he's been phenomenal. And we obviously, we're so rapt that he's joined the team. And obviously he's not active, but he's there all the time. We're counselling him all the time. We're having informal catch-ups. But, even some of them, what's interesting, and it's all good, there's no problems, but even some of the consultants that he recommended to us, you've got to go and speak to them, have said things slightly different from what he's advocating.
Right.
So
that's the thing about marketing. I mean, it is so subjective, and I shouldn't say being a spreadsheets guy, you're not a marketer. That's not true at all. I mean, you have the ability to test, and many don't test. Many just go down that trail. It didn't work, so they stopped doing it. Whereas maybe a slight tweak in a headline or a slight tweak in the visual or the time of day that the ad ran or whatever is going to be a complete game changer. So,
and what Rad has mentioned on the testing, I do like the whole principle of this. He says just pick a smaller market segment in a smaller geographical area and test that concept, that medium, that message. If it works, then you can, get the confidence to invest more broadly in it.
Yep.
So we're going to take smaller steps. We're not really in a massive rush, and do a bit of sort of that split testing and find the right recipe.
Do you have competitors?
In the United States, we do, and we're not there yet. But we've now set up operations in 2 other countries.
Where?
Canada and Hong Kong.
Of course you have.
So I was in China last week for 23 hours on the ground. My first trip to China in Guangzhou.
Why Canada and Hong Kong?
It was more opportunistic. In fact, we weren't really ready for the overseas. We knew it was coming, and we absolutely want to get there, but we see this as an international. But they came to us. They had heard about us. They saw what we're doing. Hong Kong and also mainland China, where we have a partner there that we're about to get into bed with commercially, and they love the credibility and the Australian credibility of what we're doing, and that's what they've come up. And we've also got a few people on the hook in the UK as well. So we have.
Is this I hear alarm bells. You haven't nailed Australia yet.
Yep.
Right.
True.
10,000 customers. Am I right in saying that? Right now,
we have 20,000 customers.
20,000 customers right now.
Yes. It's not much in the scheme of things.
Being opportunistic and going to these other countries. Yeah, I don't know. It's clearly a smart idea. What would I know? But it's like, why wouldn't you just get Australia right?
No, you're right. It's also about focus. You throw too many balls in the air and you can't juggle that many. So, no, it is on my mind all the time. And we have to find the right partners in those regions that have the local knowledge and the local know-how and some of the sales and marketing firepower, so to speak. And we can just leverage our intellectual property, which is the reporting and the genetic interpretation. So we're not rushing, and there is a long gestation between where we first sort of identify a consultant or a partner in a country before we go live. So some of these things may not transpire for 3, 6, 9 or 12 months. So I suppose we're just planting some seeds at the moment, and we're not 100% sure which ones will grow, but we do have to be conscious of spreading ourselves too thin.
Lior, I reckon it's a great story, mate. Are you going to be looking for the next thing at all in the next few years?
Is it? No, this is it. Well, I'm 43 now. I'm 43 years old, and no, look, but that's one thing I do. I don't. We talked about spreading myself thinly in other countries, but when the business is my focus, and when I'm all in. This is at least a decade journey, and I'm very excited about it.
It feels to me like you as a person have finally arrived at something. Urban intelligence, being a GP, these were little stepping stones that filled a need of some sort, but this one's actually filled a much deeper need where you're saving lives, you're changing people's lives for the better, and you've kind of arrived. I had a guest here last week or 2 weeks ago who is a serial entrepreneur, and he gets bored, right? He's literally jumping. He had 8 years of failure.
Right.
He then he landed on something where within 2 years GoDaddy bought this business from him because A, he was bored, and B, they'd made a good offer. But he's then on to the next thing and the next thing, and horses for courses.
Yeah. But things happen, even, I would agree, I didn't think I'd be spending that much time on urban intelligence, but if I think about it now, there's a reason for everything you don't realise at the time. So many of my investors who have put money into the MyDNA venture, and because I've got a lot of staff when using that money, are people I met through urban intelligence because they're high net worth people. I did their homes.
Love
with
it.
luxury home automation. So it's been like a full circle, and it's just fascinating. But this is, in terms of blending my technology passion and my medical background and my entrepreneur, this is perfect. I mean, it really is the ultimate intersection of those three for me.
A bit more enthusiasm next time you come in, Lior, I think, which I'd love to invite you back, mate, maybe in a year or two's time when you have got that marketing underway and you can tell us, because I know my listeners will be interested to know what did work and what didn't work, and where's the biggest bang with the least amount of spend coming from, and all that stuff.
Well, 12 months from now, if I don't have those insights, I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Hey, buddy, thanks so much, Lior. Good luck
you, Tim.
with
Thanks for having me.
MyDNA.life.
.life. Thanks, Tim.
Well, there you go. Dr. Lior Rauchberger. What do you reckon? Passionate enough? I think he loves what he does, and I just have a feeling we have just spoken to someone at the very early stages of empire building. I can't help but to think that business, if he does all the right things, and I think he is going to be huge, right? He could be the next, I don't know, billionaire in Australia. I like that. As long as he sort of sends a share my way, recognises the little people. Hey, coming up, I share my top 3 attention grabbers from that fireside chat with Dr. Lior. Plus, I've got a low-cost marketing idea that you're going to love. Now, I get how busy you are. So busy that you haven't written a blog post or added new content to your website in how long? A month? 10 months? Maybe never. Well, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the majority of small business owners who would rather set fire to their own legs than sit down and write a 500-word blog post, even though they know it'd be good for business. But guess what? We speak up to 3 times as fast as we type. And thanks to Dragon's speech recognition software, you could be smashing out content in literally a third of the time. Dragon converts whatever you say into words on your screen. It's ridiculously accurate right from the get-go, and it learns what you sound like, getting better each time you use it. I actually used it to write this ad. In fact, I spoke this ad. Dragon works on PCs and Macs, and right now you can access an exclusive 35% listener discount over at getdragon.com.au. So get Dragon now and write as fast as you think. And we're also made possible thanks to Dale Beaumont's 52 Ways live event. Now, instead of me telling you about it, and I have done that over the last few months and have attended it myself, loved it, here's a note I just received from listener Nerily. She says, "Hi, Timbo." Hey, Nerily. Long-time listener here. Well, I feel like it, although I'm still catching up. I listen to at least 1 or 2 of your podcast episodes a day while I'm in my studio. That's unreal. Some have background jibber-jabber on. Others have my show on, which could be regarded as background jibber-jabber. She goes on to say, "I just want to say thanks for the info on Dale Beaumont's 52 Ways event. I went yesterday and came away hugely positive and pumped." I love that. Well done for taking action, Nerily. Many don't. Many would have heard me speak about it, not gone. But that said, I know many of you have gone to great benefit. She goes on to say, it's been a really hard few months. I'm sorry to hear that. But now I'm getting back on track. I just wanted to say thanks. You're a legend, Nerily. So here's the thing, guys. We've got to get out of our businesses. We've got to get out and smell the roses, look around, go to events, expand our mind, meet other business owners, experience what they're going through, hear their challenges, hear about their wins. And an event like 52 Ways allows you to do that. It's 8 hours of learning, and it is. Dale shares 52 ways to grow your business in 8 hours. I mean, it's brilliant. If nothing else, just watch him present. He's a machine. You can learn a lot from that. Anyway, 2018 dates have been announced and free tickets are available over at 52ways.biz, and I would highly encourage you to get a group of fellow business owners and marketers together and head off for the day and have a ball. 52 Ways, 52ways.biz. Righto, my top 3 attention grabbers from that chat, that passionate chat with MyDNA's Dr. Lior Rauchberger, thanks to Dragon Speech Recognition Software and 52ways.biz. Attention grabber number 1, simplicity. Oh, I love simplicity. Lior is making the complicated simple. And not just simple to understand, but simple to buy. I'll give you an example. On the diet report page of the DNA of the MyDNA website, it simply reads, and I quote, "Are you on the best diet for your body? Our DNA test can reveal how your body will respond to what you eat and drink and how you exercise. Then there's an order now button, and then there's a price, $99. Simple. It's such a complicated product, and he simplified it right down. Dare I say, dumbed it right down. Attention grabber number 2, Lior's marketing challenge. He and his team aren't kidding themselves about the marketing challenge that lies ahead, knowing they have quite some work to do to break through the cynicism and lack of understanding around the whole DNA thing. He's embracing it. He's excited by it. He's not shying away from it. And nor should he. It's important. I mean, marketing is going to be the difference between my DNA, flying and becoming an empire and not. And he gets that and he's embracing it. Attention grabber number 3, distribution. Lior's clearly identified the 3 groups MyDNA needs to get on side: health professionals, consumers and pharmacists, and has 3 distinct marketing strategies for them. Sometimes I see business owners stuck trying to influence just one group of influencers, when the reality is most businesses have a number of groups that they need to kind of, get around, if you like. If that's you, then maybe it's time to cast your net wider. It doesn't mean you have to be everything to everybody, but just maybe look a little bit wider, higher, further to see who else you can influence in order to grow your beautiful business. Hey, what grabbed your attention? You going to tell me, or are you going to keep it to yourself? Your call. But if you want to tell me, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/379 or join the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook page. You can do that. That's easy. Either way, would love to hear from you.
What have you got to lose?
It's time for one simple yet effective marketing idea that you can implement immediately. It's not going to cost you a fortune. It might just generate you more awareness, more inquiry, more sales. Ka-ching! I call today's idea the Helpful Email Series. One of the best ways you can differentiate from your competitors, grow your list, and boost conversions is to show prospects that you're willing to go out of your way to help them. A great way to do this is by offering a free email course that potential customers can stumble upon and subscribe to when they're looking for answers to their questions. It's also another great way to build loyalty and trust because it gives you the opportunity to position yourself as someone who is genuinely committed to helping solve problems and provide solutions, and less as someone who is obsessed with trying to make a quick buck. So, here's my 3 steps to creating an insanely helpful email series. Step 1, decide on the topic of your course. Cut straight to the chase by having it focus on the core question people have when shopping for something in your industry. Step 2, write the lessons for your email course. Try to keep them to less than 7. I like odd numbers. 5 or 7 I think's good. Start with an introduction, then go deeper as the course progresses. End the course with a strong call to action that helps people understand what you would like them to do next. And step 3, create a drip campaign for your course using a tool like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. Then promote it by sending an email, writing a blog post, creating a landing page, and sharing it widely with your social media followers. And here's the pro tip, team. Don't over-engineer it. Don't feel like you have to write a mountain of words or record highly produced videos. Simply focus on making your content unbelievably helpful. I talk about that all the time in my marketing book, The Boomerang Effect. Helpful wins every time. That's my 3 steps to creating an insanely helpful email series. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/379 where you'll find a link to this post, plus some additional resources to bring this idea to life, including a great blog post on how to create an email course that converts like crazy and 15 of the best email marketing campaigns ever. So, what have you got to lose? Well, that almost wraps up another episode of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, Australia's #1 marketing podcast, BTW. But there is plenty of marketing gold coming your way in the weeks ahead. As I said at the top of this episode, next week we are catching up with Rand Fishkin and we are going to learn the best search engine optimization tactics for 2017 and beyond for your podcast show notes, your blog post, or simply just a page on your website. It is going to be one for the ages. Hey, have you listened to the chat I've had with high-performance coach Mark McKeon? He's the creator of a great concept called the Go Zone, which is basically that 1 to 2 hours every day where we perform at our peak.
When you're watching any high-performing team train, all the work is done. So the game should be relatively easy. It's like someone who's going to climb a mountain. They do that much training. The actual climb or the fun run or whatever people do, that should be relatively easy. So I think high performance is about defining what that is in your business or in your life. And once you've got that defined, then you've got to have a plan to make that happen. And then you've got to execute the plan. But I actually think that for most people, the hardest bits are the first 2, and that's setting the goal and designing the plan. I think once there's something in place and there's something to follow, most people like the rigor and the discipline of actually following and executing on that. So some people say, I lack the discipline to do it. Then if you dig a bit deeper, most of the time those people don't really have the correct structure in place. It's too loose, there's too much wriggle room, or those structures aren't directly related to whatever the goal is, the high performance. And then you don't have like the continual circle of continuous improvement and high performance. So it's about taking out the guesswork. Set your goal, define what that is, set the structure, whether you need new skills, new resources, new discipline to get there, and then just execute.
Mark goes on to share how to find and make best use of your go zone and your slow zone and your no-go zone. It's a great interview, and he's also written a book on it, which I highly recommend you read. I'll put a link in the show notes. You'll find the full interview plus hundreds more over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, or you can subscribe free on your favourite podcast catcher. Hey, I'd love to hear from you. Email me, tim@timreid, reid.com.au. I read them all, respond to them all, actually. I know. What am I thinking? So I should. Or hit me up on Twitter @TimboReid, or you can join the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook page. Don't forget to check out Dragon's speech recognition software. Such a brilliant, brilliant way to get those long overdue blog posts written or started, hey? You are blogging, aren't you? If you're not, Dragon will solve all that. Productivity on steroids. Visit getdragon.com.au for an exclusive listener deal, 35% off. And be sure to grab your free seat at Dale Beaumont's 52 Ways events that are touring Australia and New Zealand in 2018. Dates have been released, seats are limited. Get a few fellow business owners together and make a day of it. 52ways.biz is where you can grab your free tickets. Hey, if you love the Small Business Big Marketing Show, here's what I want you to do. Grab a friend, a colleague's, someone's. Go to an Apple store and open up the podcast app on all the iPads and iPhones and subscribe to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I'd love you to do that. It's a wacky idea, Tim. I might head off there now. Hey, until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.